President Maduro announced several measures which his government intends to take in enforcing the outcome of the referendum held on December 3rd, 2023. As I made clear from the date the referendum was first announced, this is a direct threat to Guyana's territorial integrity, sovereignty, and political independence, and in violation of fundamental principles of international law enshrined in the UN and OS charters. The measures announced are in blatant disregard of the order given by the International Court of Justice on December 1st, 2023. Guyana views this as an imminent threat to its territorial integrity and will intensify precautionary measures to safeguard its territory. I have tonight spoken to the Secretary General of the United Nations and several leaders, alerting them of these dangerous developments and the desperate actions of President Maduro that fly in the face of international law and constitute a grave threat to international peace and security. We've engaged CARICOM, the OS, the Commonwealth, and many of our bilateral partners, including the United States of America, Brazil, the United Kingdom, and France. The Guyana Defense Force is on full alert and has engaged its military counterparts, including the U.S. Southern Command. By defying the court, Venezuela has rejected international law, the rule of law generally, fundamental justice and morality, and the preservation of international peace and security. They have literally declared themselves an outlaw nation. Nothing they do, however, will stop Guyana from proceeding with a case in the ICJ, or stop the ICJ from ultimately issuing its final judgment on the merits of the case. We will not allow our territory to be violated, nor the development of our country to be stymied by this desperate threat. Let me be very clear that President Maduro's action is in open defiance of the ICJ order. In my opinion, he's testing the mettle of the ICJ. He has taken a lonely and worrisome road of neglecting his responsibility as a member of the UN family. An adventurous and reckless path that can only bring instability to this region and can only create more uncertain circumstances for the Venezuelan people. We urge President Maduro to rethink these missteps and to act and behave in accordance with international law. All our actions and everything we do from Guyana is aimed at ensuring this region remains a region of peace. We want nothing. Our only ambition is for this region to remain a region of peace, a zone of peace, and for the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Guyana to be respected. We ask for nothing more or nothing less.
As it relates to investors, President Ali sought to reassure them.
Your investment is in a safe, democratic, stable country in which the rule of law prevails. You have nothing to worry about when you invest in a country that governs itself in accordance with the rule of law, that stands on the side of democracy, and that understands what true freedom is. So there is nothing to fear. Our international partners and international community are ready to support us. They have assured us of their support. And all we want is for these missteps to be corrected by President Maduro. And for Venezuela and the government of Venezuela to commit itself to peace and to act in a manner that is befitting of a member of the United Nations family.
On Thursday, the two parties are expected to meet in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The announcement of the bilateral meeting came after President Maduro spoke with Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Ralph Gonsalves, who also serves as President pro tempore of the Community of Latin America and Caribbean States.
Discussion would relate to matters consequential upon the border controversy which exists between Guyana and Venezuela. I want to give some backdrop and some context. Since the 29th of September, I've been seeking, in my capacity as pro tempore president of the Community of States of Latin America and the Caribbean, to have a dialogue between both presidents of two great countries, Venezuela and Guyana. Both countries belong to CELAC. The Caribbean community and leaders within the community have played an important role in assisting to bring this venture together, and in particular the Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica, who is the chair of CARICOM. Last evening, CARICOM held a heads of government meeting, and certain matters were crystallized, and I was accorded a particular role in this particular venture.
Subsequently, Prime Minister Gonzalez formally invited both parties to the table via a letter.
The letter reads, "The leaderships of the Community of States of Latin America and the Caribbean, CELAC, and the Caribbean Community, CARICOM, consider that it is necessary and desirable to facilitate the convening of a meeting in St. Vincent and the Grenadines on Thursday, December the 14th, 2023 at 10 a.m. between the Presidents of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana and the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela on matters consequential to the border controversy between these two great countries. Both of you have agreed with me for such a meeting to be held under the auspices of CELAC, of which St. Vincent and Grenadines is the pro tempore president, and CARICOM, of which the current chairman is the Commonwealth of Dominica. Both of you have also requested the distinguished presence of the esteemed President of the Federative Republic of Brazil, His Excellency Luis Inácio Lula da Silva. An invitation is accordingly being sent to our dear brother Lula. Given the recent events and circumstances attendant upon the border controversy, the leaderships of CELAC and CARICOM have assessed in the interest of all concerned, including our Caribbean and Latin American civilizations, the urgent need to de-escalate the conflict and institute an appropriate dialogue face-to-face between the presidents of Guyana and Venezuela. Both of you have concurred with this assessment in the quest of peaceful coexistence, the application and respect for international law, and the avoidance of the use or threats of force. Both of you are on public record of committing to the Caribbean as a zone of peace and the maintenance of international law. Experience has taught humanity that it is mature, wise, and preferable for leaders of nations which are in conflict to speak to each other calmly, respectfully, and with patience in order to avoid an escalation into threats or the use of force. To be sure, the resolution of old controversies in challenging contemporary times is never easy. For leaders, it is strenuous, but a strenuous life pursued in peace is to be preferred to one of ignoble ease in perpetual conflict and violent encounter. We are all aware that the government of Guyana is seeking the resolution of the border controversy through the processes of the International Court of Justice, which is currently seized of the matter. We are cognizant, too, that the government of Venezuela has rejected the path of the ICJ as the modality for resolution. The Parliament of Guyana has unanimously instructed the President of Guyana not to discuss the border controversy with the government of Venezuela. The people of Venezuela have advised overwhelmingly in a consultative referendum on December the 3rd, 2023, their government not to accept the jurisdiction of the ICJ in the matter of the border controversy. Clearly, each of you has to summon the proverbial wisdom of Solomon, the patience of Job, and the foresight of all the ancient prophets to engender good neighborliness in peace, justice, security, and prosperity for all concerned. There is thus much for each of you to raise and or discuss on matters consequential to the border controversy, even as you respect the advice or more of your respective peoples and Parliament and National Assembly. Please be advised that each of you is free to suggest requisite modalities of the face-to-face dialogue, inclusive of the role of any named interlocutor or interlocutors. Both Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, Chair of CARICOM, and I, as pro tempore President of CELAC, are available to assist in whatever constructive way each of you may suggest or require. The government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is pleased to host each of you, Prime Minister Skerrit, President Lula, and any other recommended leader or leaders of the region and their respective delegations. Time is of the essence. Let us all resolve to make this historic gathering a successful one. So much is at stake for our Caribbean and Latin American civilizations. All the best to both of you, your respective families, governments, and peoples. Sincerely yours, Ralph, Prime Minister St. Vincent and the Grenadines. No, I can't answer what is going to be the outcome. What I do know with certainty, that it is better for people in conflict to be talking. You can resolve misunderstandings. Enjeux provocateurs can create challenges also. And if you're talking and you're respectful and you're mature and understanding and wise, and you take your populations along with you in that particular process, you are less likely to end up with threats of force or the actual use of force. Not to be talking is very dangerous. And it is something which I believe this matter would weigh in the way in which I'm presenting it to the people of the Caribbean and Latin America. It will weigh very heavily on people's hearts and minds. The war in Ukraine affects us so directly, or profoundly in an indirect way, and therefore direct. Gaza, imagine something on our doorsteps.
To Al Jazeera, Irfan Ali, President of Guyana, talking to us on Al Jazeera. Thank you for your time. Are you prepared to go to war over this?
Well, let me put it this way. We want this region to remain a region of peace and stability. That is our foremost concern. That is our priority. We want to ensure that we do all that we can to ensure that this region remains a region of peace and stability. That is why we are advising Venezuela not to act recklessly and in an adventurous manner.
If you want this to remain a region of peace, as you say, why have you put your forces on alert?
So why should we be in a position to defend what is ours? We went to the ICE, the United Nations Security Council, this morning, and to alert the Security Council. We have called upon all our regional partners. CARICOM, Commonwealth, and the OAS have all issued very strong statements. We are working with our allies in a precautionary manner, to ensure that we keep our people safe and ensure the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Guyana.
Have you requested military assistance, Mr. President, from your allies in the region? Have you requested military assistance from your regional allies, including the U.S. or Cuba?
We have tremendous defense cooperation with the United States Department of Defense. We hosted the Trade Winds exercise up to this year. So there's an elaborate defense cooperation with the United States that is ongoing. And we have brought this SOUTCOM, we have brought the Department of Defense, we have brought Brazil, CARICOM, Commonwealth, the OAS, we have brought all of them in the loop as to what Venezuela is doing, the way they're trampling upon international law, the reckless behavior of President Maduro. But importantly, I want to correct a statement earlier. The borders between Guyana and Venezuela were settled in 1899 with the full participation of Venezuela and British Guyana. Both of them signed up on the border. Venezuela then enacted in their local laws the borders as established in 1899. The borders were then, stamps were then produced. Venezuela, when we were going to independence, then raised a controversy. The Geneva Agreement provided that if the two parties did not resolve the controversy, then the United Nations Secretary General would determine where the controversy will be resolved.
Right.
The UNSG has determined that the controversy be resolved in the ICJ. The question is, why is Venezuela afraid to face the ICJ? They have already participated in the process before the ICJ by going to argue that the court does not have jurisdiction twice. They lost that case. They participated when we went for provisional measures by no less a person than the vice president. So it's double standard.
Okay.
They've participated in, because they don't have their way, they're now saying that they're not going to respect the outcome of the court.
Why do you think President Maduro has done this now?
Why? I didn't get that question.
Why do you think President Maduro has gone ahead and done this now, this move?
Well, there are many school of thoughts. One school of thought is that he's trying to distract from the current political situation in Venezuela. Guyana has welcomed many Venezuelan migrants to our shores. We are providing support for them. We have welcomed them with love. We'll continue to show them love because that is who we are. We are a law-abiding country, a law-abiding people. We respect the rule of law. We respect peace, and we understand that we have to coexist as neighbors.
Okay.
So there's one school of thought that he's doing this for his selfish political reasons at home. He wants to create a distraction, that he's not doing well in the polls. That is one opinion. The second opinion can be one of greed. One of greed. Simply that.
Okay. Can I ask you briefly, Mr. President, before we let you go, you've, as you said, asked the UN Security Council to consider intervening. What exactly would you like to see the Security Council do today?
Well, first of all, we want this region to remain a region of peace and stability. We would like the United Nations Security Council to issue a very strong statement to Venezuela in relation to Venezuela breaching the order of the ICJ, an order that can be enforceable, and we would like to see the full commitment of the United Nations Security Council to ensure that they do everything to have this region remains a region of peace and stability, and for them to support international law, for them to call upon Venezuela to support and respect international law, and have the controversy settled where it is. That is before the ICJ.
Mr. President, thank you very much for talking to Al Jazeera. Irfan Ali, President of Guyana, talking to us on Al Jazeera. Thank you for your time.